Good morning, everybody. What's going on? Welcome to another episode of College Football Mornings. It is October 7th. Really boring game last night for the Denver Broncos and the Indianapolis Colts, but there was actually a good matchup in high school as Edgewater played Cedric Baxter Jr. Running back commit, in our opinion at Campus to Canton, I believe our consensus number one running back in the 2023 recruiting class played. They won fairly handedly last night. We will talk about that, though. We've got a ton of different stuff for this morning's morning show. We are going to talk about the top matchups in high school football, and then we are talking about the top 25 matchups for this week 6 of college football, kicking off tonight. We actually have some games tonight. No top 25 matchups, but still a fairly good game, possibly. At least I was told by my good friend Chris Moxley in San Jose versus UNLV. But let's kick it off with the Friday Night Lights segment and talk about these high school games. And we have an amazing game on Friday. I'm sorry. Yeah, it is Friday night at 7:30 p.m. St. John Bosco, the number one team in the nation versus the number two team in the nation, Modern Day. Now, it is not listed anywhere. I'm actually kind of surprised this is not on ESPN, but I imagine you'll be able to go find it on YouTube or somewhere. This is going to be a great game. I mean, you have upwards of, I believe it's 80 players in this game that are ranked on the ranking websites. You've got a top quarterback in Pierce Clarkson. You have DeAndre Moore going on St. John Bosco side, Modern Day. Again, the number two team in the nation in California. This is going to be an explosive matchup. Two teams 6-0. It will definitely be the game that I will be paying very close attention to. I cannot wait to watch that game. We have St. Francis Academy in Baltimore going up against West Toronto Prep. West Toronto Prep, a team from Canada. That is not wrong. But yeah, St. Francis in Baltimore has actually moved up to be the number 3 team in the nation. A couple other really big games here. Buford is on a bye week. Justice Haynes running back there. Bishop Gorman, the number 18, plays Legacy in Las Vegas. Probably going to be an easy win for them as Legacy is 2-5, but we will get a chance to see what Zachariah Branch does in this one. Again, Chandler, Arizona will be a team that I'll be watching. They're 5-0 going against Castile in Queen Creek here at 7 o'clock tonight. Chandler 5-0 again, as is Castile. But Dylan Raiola, top quarterback in the 2024 class, Ohio State commit. Like, I will continue to be watching to see what he does. Westlake 5-0. They will also be playing in a game here this tonight at 7:30 against Anderson. Should be a fairly easy game for them. Img Academy. Now, this is a very interesting thing. If you go to look at their schedule, it shows that they're just playing quote-unquote varsity opponent. They are playing St. Thomas More out of Oakdale, Connecticut. I don't imagine this is going to be much of a game. For those of you who don't know, Img Academy is not actually like with a certain, I don't think they call them conferences in high school, but they're not with a certain group. So like they just play teams all over the country. They can't win like a state championship or anything, even though they are based in Florida. Speaking of Florida schools, American Heritage will be live on NFHS at 7:30. I hate that it will be going on at the same time as the St. John Bosco game because I really want to watch this one, see what Brandon Ennis does. He actually had a game-sealing interception last week for American Heritage. Just an incredibly talented wide receiver. Duncanville in Texas plays Waxahachie. That should be a really good game. Also on NFHS at 7 o'clock. Waxahachie 4-1, a very good team here in Texas. And of course, Duncanville as well, sitting at 4-0. And that's really all that I'm seeing. Oh, apologies. And I actually almost thought about going to this game. It's the worst part about not having anyone to be able to watch my kids on a Friday night. So I live very close to both of these schools playing in Texas. I mentioned it at the end of last Friday's show that South Lake Carroll, fairly well known for producing quarterbacks. I did mess up and say Bo Edmondson. He does not play South Lake Carroll. I apologize about that. But anyways, South Lake Carroll has produced a lot of quarterbacks, most famously recently Quinn Ewers. They have a couple quarterbacks there that are fairly intriguing, but they're playing Keller, Texas. Keller literally is high school is 10 minutes down the road from me. They are also considered a powerhouse here in Texas, both 5-0. Again, South Lake Carroll has moved up to rank number 23 in the nation. So they have moved up here. They are ranked, and this will be a big matchup for them. It's at 7 o'clock. I'll actually be able to watch it local here on TV, so I will be able to have that game on, and I'll be paying very close attention to it. Long Beach Poly has also now moved up to being ranked. The former team for Nico Yamalava, he moved on from Long Beach Poly, I believe, if I'm remembering this correctly. I don't believe he plays for them anymore. I could be 100% wrong on that now that I feel like I'm thinking about it, and he does. But I'm pretty sure he does not play for them anymore. We're going to look that up live now because I feel like I am 100% wrong, and that is going to upset me immensely. But while we're looking that up, anyways, he did get a. Oh my goodness, I'm butchering this. Anyways, they are now ranked. They were not ranked currently. He did. He plays at Warren now. Okay, I thought he moved, and I just wanted to double check that because I had already messed up Bo Edmondson last week, so I did not want to mess up this one again. Nico did move. He plays at Warren, was at Long Beach Poly last year. They are now ranked. They are playing in a ranked matchup this week. So some very interesting high school games for you guys. If you want to watch those Friday night with not really a lot of college games going on Friday night. Like I said, you do have the San Jose State and UNLV game going on, which should be a good game Friday night. We do also have Houston, Memphis, though Houston's kind of fallen off, so I don't know how great of a game that will be. And then you do get Nebraska, Rutgers. So when you're really looking at this slate, it's really the UNLV versus San Jose State game late in this one that's going to be good because I don't think you're watching Colorado State or Nevada either. Both of those teams could arguably be the worst teams in college football besides Hawaii. So let's jump in now and talk about the top 25 matchups for this week. Obviously, if you guys are sub to this channel and you do, please make sure to like the video. And if you are sub to the channel as well, make sure you hit that bell icon so that you are subscribed here so you get notifications every time we go live because we do cover a lot of these games on College Fantasy Tonight. We go live every Saturday night after the main games are over with. Pac-12 After Dark is still technically going on, but we cover a lot of these games. So going again, in order of the games played, we get number 4 Michigan at Indiana. Michigan's get 22.5 points. They're probably going to cover that, and I think that they're going to beat Indiana fairly well here, even though Indiana has been pretty good, 3-2 this year. But the big early window game is going to be number 8 Tennessee going to Death Valley to play LSU, who is now back up in the rankings at number 25. Tennessee is getting 3 points, which is intriguing to me because I feel like Tennessee's offense is a lot better than LSU. Now, I know LSU has a good defense, but if Tennessee gets up a couple scores, I do not trust Jaden Daniels and this offense to be able to come back and kind of almost go score for score with Tennessee. I think I'm taking Tennessee, and I think they cover this fairly easily. I think they win by at least a touchdown, but that should be a good game. Obviously, another really big game here. Number 17 TCU at number 19 Kansas. 2 undefeated teams in the Big 12. Game day going to Lawrence, Kansas for this game, and TCU is favored by 6.5. Currently, and I will be 100% honest, I'm still learning the betting stuff. I think I'm avoiding this one for right now. I don't really have a good feel about this. I do think TCU is the better team, and they probably win this game. Do they win by a touchdown? I don't really know. Mississippi State at home gets Arkansas. Mississippi State ranked number 23. They're getting 9.5 points. Arkansas beat up. No actual, there's rumors that KJ Jefferson might play, but there's also rumors he may not play. There's nothing that's been confirmed yet. So if KJ Jefferson's out, I really don't feel good about Arkansas State in this game. But I feel like given the 9.5, maybe they're telling you they think Jefferson's going to be out. I feel like it would be a closer line if Jefferson was expected to play. Cincinnati is back up in the top 24. They are 25. They are number 24. Going up against South Florida, getting 27.5 points. They should win fairly easily. This next game, early afternoon game in that second window of kickoffs here, number 2 Georgia going up against Auburn. Georgia's getting 29.5 points. I'm not taking the points because we just saw that last week. I think the only time they've really covered that has been the Oregon game. Kent State was a really close game. Obviously, it was a close game with them with Missouri last week. But I do think that they could blow Auburn out here. I would avoid it just altogether if you could, but I wouldn't be surprised if they blow Auburn out. I think Georgia's going to be a little bit pissed in the fact that they've been playing a little bit down to their competition the past 2 weeks. I do think they're still a top tier team. They're probably right. I shouldn't say probably. They're right there in the same tier as a healthy Alabama with Bryce Young and an Ohio State team. I think all those teams are probably pick'ems if they played each other in a round robin tournament. I don't think you could give one or the other or any of those three as like the best team in college football. And the big story will be, we covered it last week on Sunday, Paul Chryst let go from Wisconsin. If Georgia goes in there and blows out Auburn, do they then just let Brian Harsin go? I mean, he's 3-2 right now. I think that's going to be kind of the main story we're watching in this game. Number 7, Oklahoma State goes at home host Texas Tech. Oklahoma State's getting 9.5 points. Weird things happen in the Big 12, but I expect Oklahoma State to win. Another underrated, like early afternoon kickoff game. Again, those middle windows. Number 11, Utah going into the Rose Bowl to play number 18, UCLA. Utah's getting 3.5. I'm very intrigued to see how this game plays out because I think Utah is the better team. But notice I said think. Their defense has been really good since the Florida game. I think they were good in the Florida game. Realistically, they win that game if the tight end doesn't fall over and the pick is not thrown. Cameron Rising, I think, hits the tight end for a touchdown. If I'm being honest, Florida loses that game. Utah is undefeated. But UCLA has looked like a much better team as well. Very explosive on offense. I don't think their defense is quite as good as they showed against Washington. I think that just showed us the holes in Washington's game more so. But this is I think, going to be one of the better games of this weekend. A good game in that mid-window of the day. And again, Utah's only getting 3.5 points. So the bettors in Vegas expect this to be a close game. I don't think this next game is going to be close, and the bettors don't either. As number 3, Ohio State goes into East Lansing to play the Michigan State Spartans. Ohio State's getting 27 points. I feel like you've got to take it because last year they blew out a decent Michigan State team fairly easily. It was not even a competition. This Michigan State team this year is worse, and their secondary still got awful, and that is definitely the strength of Ohio State. I do not expect Jackson Smith and Jigba to play. For those of you who just watch this and are not in our Discord, I really would suggest becoming a member of our website. You can find all those links and everything in the description below, because I am lucky enough to have some contacts with some people at Ohio State, and they've kind of been saying for the past couple of weeks, don't expect JSN back until after the bye week. And I think that's going to happen here. If they don't need him against Michigan State, Ohio State has dreams of being in the playoffs and winning a national championship. There's no reason to rush JSN back, and I don't think there's any reason for him to rush himself back. Now, I still think he's a top-end draft pick, but if he comes back and hurts his leg again or hurts his hamstring again, which is the injury, the hamstring, if he comes back and hurts it again, I don't know that he hurts his draft capital, but he's not helping it. I still think he's a first-round pick, but I think if he comes back after the bye week and balls out the rest of the season, he'll be perfectly fine. Number 9, Ole Miss going into Vandy. They're getting 17 points. I'm probably taking that. While Ole Miss's offense has not looked good, that defense has. I think they'll be able to slow down Vandy here for the most part. It's really just Ray Davis. AJ Swan's kind of been up and down. Ray Davis has been very good this season outside of the game against Alabama last week, against Alabama, going up against Vanderbilt. I'm not putting Ole Miss in that category of Vandy. So I think, Ray Davis will be fine in this one for the Vanderbilt Commodores. But I do think Ole Miss wins the game. Number 21, Washington at Arizona State. Washington's getting 14. I think they beat Arizona State fairly easily here. But we saw what UCLA was able to do against this defense. Can Emory Jones do that? He looked okay against USC last week. It's a game that, while I won't have up on a big screen, I might throw up on one of the corner screens just to kind of see what Washington does. Moving into the late games now, number 5, Clemson at Boston College. Clemson's getting 20.5. They should win fairly easily here. This is the game that I will have all eyes on in the late night window. Washington State coming into USC, 5-0 USC, number 6 ranked team in the nation. They're getting 13 points. Now, I don't think Washington State's defense is necessarily going to slow down USC much. But the past 2 weeks, we've seen USC kind of struggle, and we know that at times, even though Caleb Williams is, in my opinion, at least a much improved prospect from what we saw last year, he's still a little rough around the edges at times. Cam Ward, if he can limit some of the mistakes that he made last week, while it ended up coming away with a win, he made some boneheaded throws in that one. I think maybe he should take the checkdowns, or there was one in specific. He could have just run out of bounds, even for a positive gain, instead of forcing it into the end zone into almost triple coverage. It was double covered. He ends up having an interception. It didn't matter because Washington State was the better team. They're not the better team here, but I do think they could pull the upset on USC if he plays a good game. That is something I'll be paying very close attention to. I think it's probably the best quarterback on quarterback matchup with Caleb Williams going up against Cameron Ward, even though technically don't play each other. Number 13, Kentucky gets South Carolina. Kentucky's getting 6.5. Yeah, they should win that pretty easily. Army goes into Wake Forest. Wake Forest ranked 15. Wake getting 16.5 points. I think Wake's going to be fine. The other big Saturday night game that I will have up on a big TV here, BYU at Notre Dame technically, but it is in Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The Mormons and the Catholics here playing in Las Vegas. The irony of that alone is kind of funny. But Notre Dame's getting 3.5. I am very intrigued to see what this game looks like, mostly because I think this could be a statement game for one Jaren Hall. I mentioned it on Debbie Debate Wednesday night. We did a mock draft. I took Jaren Hall in the second round saying, I think there's a shot that he gets first round draft capital. He has played much better than most of the other quarterbacks being mentioned as the number 3 quarterback in this class. I think Bryce Young and CJ Stroud have solidified themselves as the top 2. But a lot of people put Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, Tyler Van Dyke. They're still talking Phil Jurkovec, Tanner McKee. Jaren Hall, I feel like, has actually played the best out of all those guys. And I get it. He's about to be 25 years old. He should dominate younger competition. But it's not even necessarily the dominating part. It's actually the throws he's making. He's made some really impressive anticipation throws, over-the-shoulder throws. He's putting it right in line with his wide receivers. And his top 2 wide receivers have been out. So why is this a big game? Well, Notre Dame has not been a good team. And I understand they lost to Marshall. They still have a very good defense. If Jaren Hall can put up some points here and look good, I do think that will drive up his price a little bit and make him kind of be a bigger talking point in the draft circles than he is right now. I know some are talking about him, but I think his value kind of shoots upwards because we saw CJ Stroud struggle with this defense in week 1. And I've said before, I think week 1 for college football is an aberration. There's limited practice time. There's only so much they can do. They don't get preseason games. So I'm not taking too much away from that, but I think other people will. They will read into the fact that CJ Stroud did not have a great game against Notre Dame in week 1, but Jaren Hall did. If he does it, will be a very intriguing game that I'll be watching. Number 20, Kansas State goes up against Iowa State as well in the late window here. Kansas State getting 1.5, practically a pick 'em. I think Kansas State wins it, but I don't feel great about either one of them. Texas A&M goes into Tuscaloosa to play Alabama. Alabama is getting 24. I think you take Bama and the points and just be done because I think they cover fairly easily here. You take Bama and they're probably gonna win by more than 24. Haynes King is starting for Texas A&M as Mac Johnson broke a bone in his hand. He'll be out. Unless Haynes King all of a sudden blacks out for an entire game like Zach Calzada did last year when they beat them down in College Station, I think this is going to be a pretty easy win for Alabama, even if Jalen Milroe starts. And there are rumors that Bryce Young will be playing. Also, a very good game tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Probably, I think that's what is this? This is on the ACC network. Is Florida State going into NC State? NC State's getting 3. Typically, I think that's also kind of considered a pick 'em. Usually, home team gets at least 3 points. I will actually be paying very close attention to this game. I think Jordan Travis has looked very good. I picked him as well in that mock. I don't know that he's a future NFL starter, but I think he could be a very good backup in the league for a very long time. Like, he's a good quarterback. He's shown to be very good this year. He's got some very interesting intangibles. And NC State's got a good front line. Their secondary is okay. It's not great, but still a good matchup for both teams. I don't want to see it. And last but not least, number 12, Oregon goes into Arizona. Oregon getting 13. That is the 8 o'clock game. I'll probably be watching that as much as possible. We'll be doing college fantasy tonight as that game is going on. But Arizona, I think, is a really good team regardless. And I kind of want to watch them play. Oregon. We do have a couple really late night games as well. None that really are going to like blow your socks off in a Hawaii, San Diego State, Oregon State, Stanford, and Fresno State, Boise State. So that will, though, do it for today's show, guys. Thank you so much for watching these. We really appreciate it. We really appreciate and love the support that you guys give us. If you haven't already, like the channel, subscribe to the channel. And again, if you have any interest whatsoever in joining our website or checking out any of the stuff we do, all of that will be in the description below. Check it out. You can also hit me up on Twitter at SportsFanaticMB or the Campus to Canton Twitter feed as well. If you have any questions, we'd love to have you guys and love to help you. Outside of that, everybody, enjoy the rest of your Fridays and your weekends, and we'll see you guys back here on Monday to recap everything that happened over the weekend.